a chance to go over the minutes. If you have any questions or concerns about the minutes for April?
I added Natasha as a guest attendee after I emailed them. So that's the only change I had.
Okay.
Any other?
Dean, would you like to talk about the sandwich?
We got a vote.
Oh, sorry?
We got a vote on the minutes?
Oh, yes.
So I have nothing to add,
Yes.
so
Okay.
make a motion to approve the minutes
As amended?
as amended for April.
Aye.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nay? So, and now Dean.
Okay, a little decrepit sandwich board that broke has now been replaced. And it's a 3-foot by 2-foot A-frame. It's two sides, removable Velcro. That was a new option. I figured that'd give us more flexibility. We could add more sides to it and change it. Also, when it gets weather beaten, you know, we can ditch those and replace them. 3.5-inch letters, dark blue on white. Like I said, removable Velcro panels, $180. So it's on order. Probably pick it up next week.
Nice.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you. And Darius is up for repairs to carpet,
The
the
carpet.
display panels.
So, all right, I may not have the update on the repairs to the carpet, but I have the update on the adjustable feet that we look for all the panels. The best solution I came up with is actually, I'm going to pass this around, but it's to get 24 adjustable legs that will attach to each corner of the 3 legs of the panel, which would allow us to basically have the panels not move. They can all be adjusted, so instead of having one for each panel, you can move any of the panels anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can adjust the feet. The total cost will be $138. If that's okay, I'll go ahead and order those and have them ready for in about 2 weeks and then install them before the next meeting. If anyone would like to see.
And we already approved the amount last meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, he was authorized up to 200 or 250.
250.
Yeah. Huh? That's right.
But basically, they would attach to the bottom of each of the legs there and easily adjustable so that they won't move and won't have paper or things leaning.
Okay, let's go to number 5, new steps application process. We use the gallery and background.
So this was just a new request from Rustine, the town manager's office. When we have applications, when we're finished processing them, he would like us to actually give a copy to Sherry so that she can have it filed there as well. So we have it filed in both places. And also, we have a new shared Google Calendar, which everybody on the committee should have received the link to. And Sherry has access to that as well. So when we approve something, all of the dates pertaining to that event would go into that calendar. So the length of the show, as well as the specific day of drop-off, days and times of openings, things like that would all go in the calendar. So if there's ever a question about whether or not the gallery is open, Sherry can just look at the calendar really quickly. So everything is up to date with the town manager's office. So moving forward, just need to make sure and continue those steps.
Excellent. Okay, June event weekend.
So John Mooneyhan is here yet. So I believe we do have a comedian scheduled for Friday night. I'm not 100% sure of the start time. Hopefully he shows up and he can tell us that. Saturday morning, we do have the magician scheduled.
10:30.
That's confirmed for 10:30.
Yeah, he should have been in contact with John.
And he contacted me as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And then Saturday night,
Red
70s DJ DXT.
70s, yep, having fun.
And then Sunday morning jazz brunch is all scheduled as well. So I think we're good to go. Natasha is working on got the poster,
Oh, awesome.
pass around.
Sorry. There's this one as well, but the font on this one is off, but you get the idea.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking,
Thanks.
nice.
So will we be able to get those soon, or?
Yeah,
guess it's a
as
little
soon as we
early.
get confirmation on the exact times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Then
we just need the time of the comedian.
I can change it.
And if anybody's got suggestions on edits,
Mhm.
and then we can get it over, get it printed.
Just tickets have to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, edit? How's that?
Yeah, unless people have changes for Natasha.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Nice. Pictures came out nice too.
Yep.
Good job. All right. Move on to the next. As long as everybody is good with what the posters look like.
Yeah, I don't think, is there anything else open for the June yet?
Yeah, do we have a sign-up sheet for volunteers yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'll put that in the shared drive.
All right.
What else do we think of it? Anything else with this?
Let's move on to the fall shows. So what are your thoughts about the fall shows?
So we need people, the chairs or co-chairs for September, October, and December.
Yep.
Who's volunteering?
October is the textiles.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, textiles.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're already working on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you already started that anyways.
Yep.
I can do the September show.
So it would be good if we had co-chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to have a co-chair because I have to travel for work. Yep.
Irene and Dean for textiles in October.
And I'll do September.
Kathy and Karen.
Yep.
September is Kathy and
Karen Newman.
Karen. Okay.
And I can do December. Who wants to co-chair with me? Who's left?
I'm not going to be around.
Are you around in December?
Yep. Good.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah,
Baptism by fire.
It's a good way. That's why I'm not volunteering for it this year. It's a good way to learn. It's a learning experience.
So it would be good if we could start thinking about and planning those, because we're going to try to stay a couple months ahead of time.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else regarding that? And John is going to do the update on the theater production for September. So we'll table that until he gets here, hopefully. Exeter Literary Festival.
So I think we've talked about this a little bit, but there is a steering committee formed, putting together a literary festival for spring of 2019, April 2019. I've been attending those meetings as the EAC rep, and we are working with them. There's going to be events on the first floor, so I have worked with them to reserve the first floor for the weekend of April 6th and 7th. And that's normally when we have our spring show. So what they're asking is whatever show is in the gallery, if we could think about possibly theming it with the literary event.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, we used to do vision and word.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be that, but just to sort of have it on our radar to possibly theme whatever's going on in the gallery with, so the event is April 6th to 7th.
Okay.
which I know it's really early to be thinking about it, but just to sort of put it on.
Sounds good.
Planning time, so
Yeah.
that's good. All right, any further discussion on that?
Unless there are a lot of questions.
I was actually wondering about, I'm part of the Live Fest part or on the side. And I was thinking about for that space downstairs, you know, it's such a large auditorium space. And for the Friday evening, I was thinking a fun Friday evening event to get teenagers and young families and stuff, set up a, you know, for the Lit Fest, Stephen King escape room party down there. Wow. So like, you know, there would be music and food and drink, but then like we'd partition half the space into escape room kind of thing. And all the clues would be based on awareness of Stephen King books and literature.
Cool.
That sounds great.
Yeah, because Steam already has it reserved for that night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the fact, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd all work together.
Yeah, I mean, we need volunteers to put that together anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, people love these escape room type things and
Cool.
puzzles.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, recording of the meetings. Ann, do you want to?
Sure, a couple things on that. It can logistically be done, and we can start that in the next meeting if you'd like. I talked to Mr. Dean about it. One of the things that you guys can tell me about it, I recall that the summer months you don't really meet here because it's hot. So in that case, you might want to meet elsewhere, which I'm not sure. You could certainly meet in the NOAC room where it could be recorded live. Just depending on the schedule is for Wednesdays. There might be other meetings, different times. I think the water and sewer group meets on Wednesdays, but they meet like every other month. So that could be coordinated if that was something you wanted to do. But in terms of filming here, it can be done, and he's prepared to set up at any, like I said, we just need to discuss it because we hadn't discussed it. And I knew those summer months were kind of a challenge. So.
Yeah, we generally don't meet on July and August.
You can't really meet anyway. That's true. But if you did, I just, in case you're
that's
here,
good to know.
It could be elsewhere.
Sure.
It's not a big deal. He just wanted to get a sense of how we are. Like, for instance, if this were being recorded, just sort of logistical of where he would, how they would. He's like, how do you guys do it? I said, well, they typically kind of sit around, in a circle. So, we might just have to adjust things a little bit for that.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
There's certainly no problem doing that.
I'm uncomfortable in here for more than a few of you.
Well, there's usually only us.
Right, I think more people
It's always open to the public, but very
yeah,
few
but I think
people-
more people might want to participate, and if
Yeah,
it's
and
over there, it would be easy.
My-
Go ahead, but I'm saying the NOAC room is booked a lot.
Yeah.
And this is what they typically, so I mean, I'm just, in terms of recording, it can be recorded anywhere. Right? It could be in the wheelwright room, it could be, there's options.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank
we've
you
got
very
it.
much.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be there too, I'm just using it as an example. So it could be recorded
My
anywhere.
concern with the NOAC room is
It's a little-
there's a minimum of 9 of us.
Yeah.
And straight in a row, it's hard to have, we have a lot of back and forth conversations.
In the
So
other
the
room,
circle
yeah.
works really well for that many people. So it would be hard.
Madam Chair, could I speak to this?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'd like to urge this committee to seriously consider meeting monthly on a regular schedule in the NOVAC room and to have the meetings both on EXTV and streamed versus via town hall streams. I think there's been some questions about openness and transparency in town government, and this is an official town committee, and I'd like to urge you to seriously consider moving your meetings there as the Swayze trustees have done. It's all, just to finish, it's all set up. It would be more inviting, as was just mentioned, to the public because they're used to coming there for meetings. And I think I would like you to reconsider not meeting here, meeting in the NOAC room, and allowing those meetings to be televised and streamed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree 100%. I agree, Jim Faber from Exeter, I agree 100%.
I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
Faber, F-A-B-E-R.
Oh,
We'll take that under advisement, and we will vote on that at a
I would agree with that 100% also, that, you
Yeah,
know, we need a
get that
broader.
you're up in it. We don't need to go through 25, yes.
Well, I agree too.
Actually, it's important to hear from the public.
Well, I know.
It is. It's important to hear from the public. Please don't
We
cut.
would like to get,
Excuse, one thing, and just for the record, everyone, public comment is optional at all public meetings.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to be aware of that. Public comment is not required. Public is invited to all meetings. Mr. Chatry knows this well. But it does not mean that the public gets to speak at all meetings. Now, most public meetings we do. You all know I'm a select person, but I just want you to know the RSA, it's optional if to have an official public comment section of any public meeting.
So, tell me.
I'm just
about
letting
the
you know
options.
that.
Why
so you
wouldn't
can-
you let me speak?
You can, I'm just saying, but it's not necessarily.
can I ask a question?
Right.
Are all town committees and commissions going to be required to start recording their meetings? Or is the art committee being singled out?
Nobody's actually said that any meeting, any group has to be, there's no mandate.
Right, there's no
actually
mandate from the town manager or the selectmen.
Nope.
Right, and we're not
Because
the only one not recording.
No.
Right.
Recommendation.
Have other
Right.
committees been asked or requested by citizens
Right, I mean-
to do so and voted not to?
I don't know, I can't speak to other committees. I can only speak to the committees that I serve.
Well, we haven't voted not to. This is the first time we've
And no one
started
did, right,
discussing.
and no, right, this is a discussion, in case you haven't noticed, it's an agenda item for discussion for tonight, because this came up at our last meeting, or in the interim, so it's a discussion. It's a discussion about it and the options, because this is where this committee has traditionally met. And the NOAC room is an option, but as everybody knows, the NOAC room is very often used. I mean, it's very often used, so I mean, it can become a difficulty in scheduling. This group does meet monthly on a regular basis. I've been coming here now for 2 years. We did actually meet in the summer, I think, in the library last summer.
Yep.
So, I mean, this group is, and all the meetings are posted. They're all public. There's plenty of transparency here. There's plenty of transparency in all the committees in the town. I've been a select person for 5 years, so I'm very well aware of all the committees and all of they are all transparent. They all are.
Madam Chair, if I could respond, just to further my remarks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate that, I appreciate the recognition. I think the point that was made about the Novak room being more inviting is a very important point. I think your meeting here, I've talked to some citizens who feel intimidated about coming here and meeting with the Arts Committee. They feel like this is your turf and not theirs. The Novak room is perceived as neutral territory, and again, I would urge you to seriously consider moving your meetings there and being very open and inviting to the public. Again, it's all set up for it. It's much more amenable for a meeting that the public would attend and give input in. This is a bit unwieldy, the situation right here. I can't even see every committee member. So I would urge you to really give this serious consideration, if not at this meeting, then at a future meeting.
Can I just make a comment? Of course. The perspective that you just shared, that this room is volunteer town committee's turf. I just was surprised by that, because this is a town room, just like the room across the street is a town room.
I wasn't saying that was a reality, I was saying there's a perception that you might want to take into account. There's a perception out there.
True.
With some of
It's
those.
kind of hard with the artwork.
No, right. A common ground that we have as residents of Exeter is to support the quality of life in our town, that we enjoy arts and that we support arts, and that arts are readily available and part of our quality of life. And so I mean, we can agree that that's our common ground. And where we meet to discuss these things, whether this is town property, across the street is town property, we want to make it comfortable for people to to attend. We typically, this is my second year. We've never had this many people at a meeting. Usually it's enough to fit around here. But I do hear what you're saying, that you want to make it comfortable to have as many people come. I certainly don't have a problem with that myself. As we work as a committee, we're a small group, and we usually sit around in a circle, which is not intended to be a turf or offend anyone. It's just a matter of, 6 or 7, 8 people around the table, that's all. So could be other options, because we do like to work in a circle, there could be other options for rooms that might work better. What's the name of the one that's downstairs?
The Wheelwright.
The Wheelwright, is in demand all the time?
I mean, it's available, could be made available.
I mean, maybe that's a middle ground.
Again, the advantage of the Novak room is that it is set up already, so it's actually less costly.
Isn't the other room downstairs also set up?
No.
Oh, it's
It
not.
would be similar to this room.
My perspective on that is just that, aren't there more people now who are interested, whether it's one group or two, or one town, one committee? If there's more people interested who want to come to these meetings, why wouldn't we move it to a space that's more conducive to more people joining?
We would like to acknowledge you. Could we get your name?
I'm
and where
sorry,
you're
my
from,
name
please?
is Rachel Jones.
Okay. And you're from?
Exeter.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I speak?
I have a comment too. I don't know who most of these people are here.
She had her hand up. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we can't see because this is a...
I'm Rachel, I'm here in Exeter. I'll just speak.
Nice to meet you.
First of all, I want to say I acknowledge and appreciate your saying that meeting around the sofas is great. If I were on a small committee that didn't have a lot of the public here, my personal style would be to meet on sofas around a coffee table. I totally get that it's conducive to the group style that you guys have. That said, I'm here tonight because I'm interested in, wrapping my head around how this building is used overall, because I love this building. And I love a lot of what happens in this building, but I'm also in the dark a little bit about how things happen here, not just in this building, but in other town buildings and spaces as well. And I'm very interested in, transparency isn't the right word, being in the know on what's happening in the town. And the way that can happen is through communication. And one form of communication, obviously, is recording meetings. And I think that would be a huge step forward for me personally. Videos don't work because I can't watch videos. I tune out. That's my own personal problem. But legible minutes that are accurate and detailed and to the point are much appreciated by me. So I'm looking from our town committees, including this one, for detailed minutes and notes as well as video recording. I think it's important for meetings and committees to be accessible for people on foot as well as people who are trying to follow along from home. And our town across the board is really hard to follow when you're not in person at any meeting.
Well, we do have all of the minutes and the agendas online on the Exeter Town website. So I mean, that's one of the ways that.
Right. I just wanted to encourage kind of a holistic thinking about sharing what's happening in this.
And everybody's welcome to come to the meetings or, read the minutes and agendas as well. So thank you for your comment. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, I was going to say, Jim Faber from Exeter. I only know 2 or 3 people here, and I'm not so sure I know who everybody is in the town hall, in the Novak room. I think the names in front of them make it a lot more user-friendly, so I totally agree with everything. That'd be one of the advantages. The name tags and for who's who and who's on first, because not everybody that comes to these meetings is going to know who's on first and who's on second, and who. That would be very helpful. Because I suspect there will be a lot more people getting involved with this because there's a real concern about what, by gosh and by golly, meeting conduct. So.
Okay.
Scott Ruffner, Exeter. I guess I want to respond to you that, I think people are here to make it clear that we don't all feel comfortable here. And so you guys may be comfortable, and that's fine, but not everyone feels like this is that type of space. So, we just had a show here. We had to be notified that the committee was pulling surveillance footage to watch what we did in his space during our show that was properly permitted. So why would anyone feel comfortable coming in a setting like this with a group that is pulling surveillance footage on another town organization and feel like it's a happy place? So, I think it's time that, people start processing what we're here saying. And I think that's important if it's going to be an open space. And if anyone wants to take this opportunity to give some of us an explanation as to why surveillance footage was pulled on our event, we'd love to hear about that.
Thanks for your comment. Any other comments?
Other thoughts on moving across the street or comments or questions?
I had a question. Scott just asked a direct question, and I have personal interest because I was right here the whole time, looking at that, feeling like, okay, they're not, whatever, it's just for burglary or something, and I was here painting a sign, and I'm like, oh, they pulled the tape? What do they expect to see, or what do they think happened, or why was the tape pulled, period? Why was it?
So that's a different topic that you're sharing next.
Sharon? Yep. East Kingston.
East Kingston?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think we can get into the whole arguing and he said, she said about the alcohol and what was and wasn't happening in the gallery. That's just my personal opinion. We have a right to know what's happening because we're ultimately responsible for the space. So there was a lot going on that week.
A lot. I mean, I just, so you're checking up on us to see if we were drinking and partying and.
I'm not saying
Can I
we were
just ask
checking
one
on
thing?
you. Yeah.
The tape was, yes, indeed pulled and viewed by who?
I wasn't aware that it was actually pulled.
Darius?
Yeah, I requested to see review videotape because now we're getting off topic, and I'd like to table this until we get through our discussion. I'll be more than happy to answer that. And this meeting, on now, we're going to affordable answer. I'd like to stay on topic for this. I don't want to derail what we're trying to do here, because we're discussing about having our meetings being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on the table. Acknowledge your question, I'll provide an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I respond to that?
No, I'd like to actually continue what we're saying.
It's on topic, Madam Chair.
I'm gonna rule that this is going to happen at another time after we discuss what we're trying to finish here.
I was going to talk about the meeting, where the meeting's at.
The meetings in the NOAC being recorded?
Whether they're here or in NOVAC or in wherever, that's what I was going to speak to. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay to speak?
Sure, yes,
Okay,
it is,
great.
yeah.
I think the reason why that subject came up is because we were talking about the perception that this was maybe not the friendliest space for these meetings to happen. I think Scott brought up the example of his organization doing a great event, over 5 days, I believe, in this room. And then to have the chilling effect of a videotape, well, it's an example of why there is that perception out there, and that's why it was brought up. So again, I would urge you to seriously consider moving out of this space where there are these perceptions out there.
So
and moving to the NOVAC. Well, I was bringing it back around. So if
but that's the third time you've heard this. The third time you said we are discussing it.
If I could finish, please, Madam Chair.
Well, I think that we've beaten it already.
No, I'm bringing it back around. I'm bringing
It's
it
just-
up.
Okay,
He
You're
has
talking, but
three or four
you're saying
times.
the same thing over and over.
So I'm urging you
I
again,
just stepped in, so.
I'm urging you again to consider the fact that there's a perception.
They've heard you, Dan.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Four times.
Some of them.
And we've said we are going to discuss where we meet, and we are going to discuss recording. This is it just came up at a selectman meeting.
We're not
This
gonna
is our very
vote on
first
it tonight.
conversation. So give us a chance to discuss it and consider
Oh.
everybody's input. But you can't expect, you can't walk in, 25
get an
people and
honest
say,
answer.
give us an answer right now. We haven't ever discussed
That's
it.
not what I'm saying.
So I know, we know
I was
that
trying
you
to bring it
urge
back
us.
around,
Right.
to explain why that's
Yeah,
such
we
a...
know why. I mean,
We
we're not,
understand.
we understand.
I
But we
appreciate
would
it.
like to get some actual business
Can we
done.
revisit that comment section? Because I don't recall that we've ever had a comment section from the visitors, correct? Yeah, so we are not,
Public is always invited, public does not necessarily have to be allowed to speak.
exactly.
Could I respond?
That's in the RSA, and you know that.
And that is why I always asked for the chair's permission to speak.
I understand that, but I'm also saying that in any meeting, our select board meeting as well, when you were on the committee, if we didn't want to have public comment, there wouldn't have to be. This is the RSA, this isn't me saying this.
And that, again, that is why I have consistently tonight asked the chair for permission to speak.
But you could be denied, is my point. So, and it's not to be that we don't believe in free speech, it's just that public comment is defined, it's a defined term in the RSA's. You can look it up. And it will tell you in the Knowing the Territory, it'll explain to you that it can be part of a meeting or not. And public is invited to meetings, they may be allowed to speak or not. I'm not saying this, it's in the RSA. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't want there to be any misconception of what is going on.
Is the public allowed to speak during this meeting? Yes or no?
We have had, the public is speaking.
The public's been speaking
is
this
speaking.
whole time.
It's been
Are
going on.
there different rules for committee members as citizens sitting in? Because
Well,
you're certainly...
you're not on the board.
I'm asking you, you're not being cut off, so I'm asking...
Pardon me?
I'm saying you're not being cut off by anyone on the committee, so is there a different
Well,
set of
I'm the
rules?
rep to this committee, so
I
I'm basically
understand. I'm
part of
saying,
it.
is there a different set of rules for those on the committee speaking and those in the
Yes.
public?
Of course.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there are.
Legally.
Uh-huh.
Because we are here to get business done. And
It's
so we
it's
can-
actual business.
So are we.
So we can say, I say that we've heard everybody's
Closing the public,
input,
yes.
and
Public comments are, yeah.
we need to be able to think about it individually.
We have an agenda
and discuss it.
Yeah, and we have an agenda that we need to get through tonight. So there will be no more
So
public comment.
I move that we put this on the next agenda as well, to further, so that everybody has a chance to think about it and take in all the input, and at the next meeting, go over it all and hopefully vote on it.
Second.
I second. Oh, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Moving right along. Alcohol policy.
As of now, there is no alcohol to be had in the gallery by anyone. So the Board of Selectmen is reviewing the town's policy in accordance with state laws, is my understanding. And until that is resolved, no group, including the Arts Committee, will be allowed to have alcohol in the building, in the art gallery.
So that includes nonprofits, profits?
That includes, you
anybody,
can't even
everybody?
apply, yeah, until the issue is.
And there's no special
Yes.
exceptions for when the town manager says so, or anybody says so, there's no, it's like period, there's none, right?
That's what I was told.
Okay. So it's clear.
All right, team application for May 2019. Okay.
So team submitted an application to use the gallery May 3rd to May 26th of 2019 with the hopes of it being annual, which is a different topic. So the application that we have to discuss is main gallery, May 3rd to May 26th, 2019. We have already approved that the gallery would be used by Seacoast Artists Association for those dates for next year.
When was that? When was that?
When was that? We approved it at the last meeting. They asked for the end of April through May for their 10th anniversary, and that was approved.
We allowed to
What are their
speak now.
exact, excuse me, what are their exact dates? And May and April to what dates?
Seacoast Artists, they were approved for April 23rd to May, whatever that, May 30th, with the possibility of going one more weekend because if nothing else came up. And they were approved on April 18th. No, that's not right.
17th.
Oh yeah, they were approved on April 18th because they applied to use the gallery starting April 18th. But we denied the first week.
Okay, so the application was put in prior to, yes?
Yes. And the application was only 1 year in advance of the date of request.
So it was everything that was...
And they are an Exeter-based group.
Yep.
Is that consistent with our town policy and town practice of first come, first serve, and no more than a year in advance?
Correct.
Was it submitted on the 18th, you said?
Yep.
And approved for use on the
It's
23rd?
Yeah. Well, it was requested for use on starting the 18th. But there was a conflict for the first week.
Okay.
And you said they're an Exeter-based organization?
Yep.
Seacoast Photographers Group, no one in Newmarket?
The group meets in this building. They're an Exeter-based group. Some of the professional photographers involved have a space in Newmarket, but the group has been meeting in this room for 10 years.
I think I saw in the minutes, but didn't they say their times were flexible?
So, yes, so that's why we were hoping John Poshalt would be here, because they would be willing to not start in April at all. He didn't come, so I can only relay what he told me. But they want May because it's their anniversary. So potentially, if they push back to May, that would be the last week of April becomes available. If we push our show up, there could be 2 weeks. So basically, April 15th to April 30th could be available.
And are they a nonprofit?
Yeah, they're a spin-off from Seacoast Artists Association. They're a nonprofit. They're Exeter.
What do you mean a spin-off? Are they?
We're not having public comment anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
We're trying to get this.
Yeah, I don't mind the questions as long as the questions are not. I mean, as long as we're getting somewhere.
Well, no, I'm just. All right. I didn't know.
We have the application in, so I think it's relative to the...
Well, I think the point is, they followed the process. They didn't get approved to start April 18th. And
But so
you
they were-
just discussed some flexibility
Right,
for
so-
April 15th through the 30th.
Right.
That we could make that space available on the calendar.
Right. So as is always the case, if we shift some things around, we are prepared, we can say, team could use the gallery April 15th to April 30th, if those dates are workable for you guys.
So when is the spring show going to happen?
So the first part of April. So we would have Youth Art Month for 3 weeks, then the spring show for 3 weeks, then team, then Seacoast Photographers.
For how many weeks?
Seacoast Photographers would be down to 4.
Madam Chair,
The
can I speak
15th
to this
of
application?
the 15th to the 30th would be,
The 15th, well,
would be,
what I'm proposing is that we can make that the 15th to the 30th available to team. The other option is June. Right now, there's nothing scheduled in June.
a little hot in June.
But that's,
Yeah. So relative to this application, because the other one was submitted and approved, that part, they're willing to be flexible and change that part of the date, which creates an opening for the team application wanting to have an annual event. It's not.
well, not talk about the annual.
Sorry, they wanted to have an event around the same time.
Right.
But this would be the only available window would be the 15th through the 30th of April.
Right.
But again, John would have to, we'd have to meet.
Well,
with
he
John.
already told me he would be okay with that. He was going to try to come tonight to express that himself, but he had another commitment. So I would feel, I mean, I would feel comfortable holding him to his word, but I will be talking to him as soon as we, or tomorrow. So.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could I speak to the team application, please?
The public comment is done. I can close that.
I would like to speak to the application.
I'm not going to allow that.
You're not going to allow me to speak on behalf of the application. Madam Chair, just to be clear, you're not going to allow me to speak on behalf of the application.
You heard what she said. So relative to the application that's at hand that we're discussing, do you think that it would be possible to get confirmation?
I could
From
have
John,
confirmation from
confirmation
John
from John,
tonight.
and then propose that back to team to see if they would be willing to work with that, to work with this date.
Well, I think we could pose a contingent to team to say your application is in if it works for you for those dates. So if another application came in tomorrow, it wouldn't be, their application would still be in.
They would have priority over that.
Right, so but that's my feeling on it, is we could make, yes, but I don't know how anybody else feels on it.
Dean?
That's the best solution so far. And the other team is, the other group is influenced, and that's the space.
And they're willing to, potentially, the contingency be willing to be flexible to give up some of that time, so it creates the opening that allows another organization, Exeter-based organization, to use this space.
So would that work for team, is my question. Because there's no point calling John.
Right.
And changing their schedule if.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we're trying to move the schedule around to make space. So I think the question you want to know is, do we want to hold the slot for April 15th through 30th, and then you're going to talk to John to see if he's flexible with dates in May, and then we could work out the schedule so that we can get you in there.
Yeah, I guess
We're trying to come up with a solution.
I'm with you, but
Okay.
I think the solution we would be looking for would be that one organization put in an application on August 18th, and then was told they couldn't start until April or later in April. So it just seems odd to me that a 6-week application was put in when shows are customarily 1 month. And so now we're being told that we should be appreciative that we're getting 2 weeks because another group is going from 6 weeks to 4 weeks.
All right, wait a minute. I will represent what my intention was, okay? My intention is to make it fair for the scheduling, which I think is your intention too.
Yeah.
Is it not, Scott?
Yeah.
Is your intention to make this fair?
Sure.
Okay, great. So my intention was to find common ground to make the schedule available to everyone. Okay, that's the intention.
So
that's the intent.
Shows are allowed to be up to 6 weeks. That's the way it's been in the bylaws forever. They applied for 6 weeks. They're willing to go down to 4. We're trying to make that happen to cooperate. But they did get their application in first for the 6 weeks. So we can say, yeah, you got your 6 weeks and leave it at that, or we can take them up on their offer and switch ours and switch theirs and come up with 2 weeks, and that's 2019. As you know, the gallery is booked out a year in advance. So the policies were already in place. We can't backtrack and change the policies.
Well, it was a week prior and you changed it, so you okayed it a year and a week.
No.
That's what you said. So is there a way that all 3 organizations could work together and all get 3 weeks in that time frame?
That, they've already been approved for 6 weeks, so that would have to be their call. They want at least the beginning of May. They want the whole month of May. Okay. Because it's their 10-year anniversary.
And you're a member of the organization, correct, Karen? You keep saying that.
I am. I have not been for long. Okay. I am at the moment.
Okay.
But I don't think we want to get into it.
Regardless of who is in an organization, the organization has to follow the application process. And so, I mean, that is irrelevant because
and the application was approved unanimously without me having to vote.
Okay. No, just curious.
So, yeah, don't question my...
Is there room to give the photo show the last 2 weeks of April and the first week or 2 of May, and then follow that with team?
Switch it the other way around so that...
I'm just curious if that would...
I can propose it and ask. It's up to them because they've already been approved. I'm happy to go back to John and say...
If he's flexible.
Would you do this? I can't answer that question at the moment because John's not here. So.
I'm sure there's a way that we can figure out that each group can have time to bring art to the community. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of figuring out how are we going to do that. But we have to work together to do that. Right? Let's find the common ground and work it out. Karen said she's going to talk to John and figure it out. Let's just keep communicating on it and we'll find slots for everybody, but we all have to be a little flexible. John, us, we're willing to give up a couple of weeks of time for a show that we had planned so that we can make space. So work with us. Work with us. Please. I
think that's what we're trying to do.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Can I propose, until I talk to John, we're just gonna go around in circles.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're not approving or denying the application. It is in time sequence on hold. As soon as I hear from John, I will get back to who's the best person to get back to. One person, please. Or just the team address? Team address? Okay. As soon as I hear from John, I'll go back to the team address. If the dates work, we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Does that work? Any?
Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
Can I just
get
a clarification on something earlier on in the calendar? Did you say that Youth Art Month is not 3 weeks?
Well, I'm saying we could take a week away from Youth Art Month and take a week away from, to squeeze it together to free up the 2 weeks. That's what I was proposing, yeah. So if not, then we don't have those 2 weeks.
Can I add something about Youth Art Month? I'm a bit of a data nerd, so I'm collecting data. We had over 1,200 people come to Youth Art Month. And if our common goal is to bring art accessible to families, everyone of all ages, this is the Youth Art Month is so key to that, to the community. I mean, the first opening night, we had 500 people, and then on average, at least 150 to 125 on average every day, and that's not counting how many field trips we had. So we had 152 kids come on field trips. So I would my personal feeling would be, let's see what options we have before we cut out time from the end.
Yeah, I think we need to look at that.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Peanut Gallery speak?
No.
Okay.
So we have other business. Anybody have anything else that they want to bring to the table to discuss?
So I will email Tina as soon as I hear back from John Hochschild.
I guess the only thing I would say is July and August are open.
Well, June is still open
And June,
as well.
yeah.
So nothing has been scheduled yet for June.
It's hot, but it may not be that hot.
Not too
No
hot.
idea.
I don't know how
Up here.
It's too hot for me.
All right, no
So-
other business?
I had a question that was directed to me, and I thought I would answer it, is this. So there was an event on First Friday, which y'all had downstairs, team had downstairs, correct? And the gallery was closed, right? Gallery's closed, no lights, closed. We have an accessible bathroom that's outside downstairs. We had gone out, come back, looked upstairs, next thing you know, the gallery door's open. I'm not saying who opened it, whatever, but the gallery was open. We also had some instances where we had a number of pens that were missing. We bought new packages of pens and they were missing. So that was precipitated getting the security cameras to make certain that, you know, nothing happens, none of the art, the valuable art that's here, whether it's your show, any show, it doesn't matter. We now have a way to actually look and see what happened, if there's anything amiss or whatever. So, since the cameras are new, I requested to review the videotape. Who came in the gallery? Did people actually come in the gallery when it was closed? And as a result of that, of my looking at that tape, not pointing fingers or anything, we noticed that one of the cameras wasn't working. And this is not causing dispersions on anyone at Exeter TV at all. It was explained to me that that camera was recording at high resolution, it overrode itself, so it couldn't record. No big deal. As a result of that, it was brought to the attention that on the following select board meeting, it was now a policy that this gallery, when it's closed, no one's supposed to access it. Now, if someone's in a wheelchair and needs to get up here to use it, yes, they can use it. The elevator's not locked because that's a security issue. That's a fire exit and a security issue not to lock the elevator. But when the gallery's closed, no one's supposed to be in here. That's that.
Her question
That's
was
not my
about.
question.
So
Her question was
I'm getting
about
to
our
that. I'm getting to that. I'm being fully transparent.
Because I totally agree. I think
Right.
cameras are great. If you're having pens stolen, you want to know who's taking it, right?
Yep.
Perfectly fine. But I just want to know if anything in here was damaged or it looked like we had any big parties or anything to the fact that you say, oh, we better check those tapes and see if they were doing something wrong.
Nope, not the
Okay.
case. It was basically, the reason why I asked to review the tape was one, to make sure that both cameras were working as Bob had said. They made the adjustment and they said it was working great. So just review that they were working. That's it. So there's no animus, there's no trying to get anybody, there's no, hey, we got you on this, we got you. No, not at all. I want to be very clear on that. I want to be very clear that I have the utmost respect for Bob and Exeter TV and what they do.
Do you have respect for us?
I have respect for what you all are trying to do. You want an honest answer? And I'll be honest, full, no filter. I appreciate what you all are trying to do. But some of the things that have been said, whether on social media, whether on other things in past history, the style in which you all communicate to some of the other people and what you say about others here is really derogatory to building relationships. And you get more out of being effective in this town with honey. You get more of being effective with working with other people instead of playing the victim that, oh, they don't want to change, and oh, they're discriminating. We're not discriminating against anybody.
We're volunteers.
We're all volunteers. We're all trying to.
We don't
Yeah,
get paid
exactly.
for anything.
And so
You guys, you know.
the other thing, just
We do, I know. Okay.
the other thing is this. I have a question for Team. How many events have you had in the last 365 days on Exeter Town property? How many events have you had?
Is this now open to the public, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I'm asking a direct question.
Is there going to be
Scott.
any change now? Is there going to be public comment?
But we're closing this meeting, so.
No,
this is-
I want to make sure.
But now one of your committee members is engaging in dialogue.
Well, one second.
Which is
We can talk now?
So I was asked a direct question about why the security tapes were pulled. I answered that question. Did I answer that question for you?
You did answer that question for me.
Okay.
I don't know if I still feel
So
comfortable
my
with
question
that.
is, did you pull the security cameras on any other organization that has done an event? And should every organization that does an event here possibly be notified that that might be the case going forward if the issue was pens and security?
If there was something that occurred, we reserve the right to actually review the tape because we're responsible for everything that's a right to know. And matter of fact, anybody, because this is a public space, anybody can request to review that tape. You can request to review it anytime. Go in. Just submit a request and ask to review it.
We're not looking for civics lessons.
We
don't
did.
understand it. My question to you, and I'll answer the question pertaining to events. I would have to guess 15, but so I guess you're giving us a bit of advice. So I would give you a bit of advice, Dennis. If you're a member of an arts committee who has a specific mission, and that's to promote the arts in Exeter, we would ask you to be, a little bit more aware when you're actively trying, to roadblock an event that's a community event. I don't think anyone from our side has ever tried to roadblock your event or say that someone shouldn't be able to do what you're doing. So,
We've never tried to roadblock one of your events.
I'm talking so I've never tried. So we can take this later.
Yeah, take this off.
We can talk later.
Because you know what? This, the meeting, we want to get through the meeting, and I think that we've already discussed everything that we needed to discuss. So I'm going to request that we close the meeting.
I make a motion.
Is there any other business from the committee?
I didn't have to.
I have one comment.
Okay.
I just wanted to congratulate you all on the lottery day. I thought that was an excellent event that I attended last Saturday, my very first lottery day. In case you're not aware of what that is, and I certainly wasn't until I became part of this committee, it's an opportunity 3 or 4 times a year, quarterly, where local artists can put their artwork up in the town office building. It's done very efficiently by this group. In 20 minutes it was all done, open to the public, whoever has artwork. And I thought it was a great experience. I met a lot of new people. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your efforts for that.
And we also have a lot of new artists as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Young people.
Actually, lottery day was almost all
All new artists.
Yeah, it was great.
They were young and
Young and old alike.
It's a great tradition.
Thank you.
Okay, then I make a motion to close the
Well, I can
meeting.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.